A lot of people think that influencers are the same as affiliates, and affiliates are the same as influencers. An affiliate does not need to be an influencer. The brands with the highest conversion rates on TikTok Shop are the brands that are posting the most.
The more people you have, the less personal each interaction becomes. The bigger you get, the more people feel like they're part of a crowd, not an inner circle. Each tier has its benefits and its challenges.
$300 million in revenue per year, and are a huge reason why Selena Gomez is actually a billionaire now. 1.3 billion. Nuts. This episode is going to be a packed one. I think this one is going to have a lot of nuggets of value that a lot of brands and teams are going to be able to draw or to take away from this episode. It's probably the topic that we talk the most about and that we have to clarify the most about when we speak to teams. Because a lot of people think that influencers are the same as affiliates, and affiliates are the same as influencers, and influencers and affiliates are the same as creators. And they all have their own ecosystem.
Yeah, no, it's drastically different. And affiliates, social commerce is the new trend of social media. And it's really exciting because it changes the dynamics of the traditional influencer marketing path. And this is what we want to talk about today. What are the differences between influencer marketing, affiliate marketing, creators, and how brands can best capitalize on each of these verticals?
Yeah, we have a lot to go through, but to kick it off, what is a TikTok influencer?
Yeah, we can get straight to it. And so we indeed want to start with definitions because, again, when we hear all of these key terms, we need to know what we refer to. So an influencer is anyone who has a dedicated following and is creating content that resonates with a specific audience. Now, influence is not just about the follow account. It's your ability to drive actions such as engagement, shares, sales, so on and so forth. TikTok has reached over 1 billion active monthly users in 2023, and it continues to grow, making it a really hot platform for creators to become influencers. And so as an influencer myself, we're going to talk about the different stages and different tiers of being an influencer. In my case, in the beginning, when I got started, I didn't know my niche, and so I tried everything. I was making content about guitar, chess, some educational content, and my engagement at the time was high, but the direction in which I was going to was scattered. And this is the first tier of influencers, which we call nano influencers, whenever you have between 1,000 to 10,000 followers. And the characteristic of these influencers is that they are just starting out. They are testing various content formats, whether it's dancing, comedy, lifestyle, or how-to videos. And typically at this stage, you have very high engagement rate, could be 10 to 20% or even more. But because that is only because your audience is made up of mostly close friends, family, or niche enthusiasts. Like I said, when I had just about 5,000 followers, I was experimenting with funny skits, vlogs, and I even did some educational content. I had no idea what would stick really, so I tried it all. And my engagement rate was crazy high, sometimes over 20%, but that's only because my audience felt that they were personally connected with me. Now, advantages for brands looking to collaborate with influencers when they look at the nano, you are collaborating with individuals who have an authentic voice, that have a deep personal connection with their audience, and it also tends to be more budget friendly if you're looking at partnership opportunities. Then you move up to the next tier, which is what we called micro influencers. So this is the range from 10,000 to 100,000 followers. The characteristic of these influencers is that you begin to see a clear pattern into what content works for them. And so you start to narrow down into maybe 2 or 3 content themes. Engagement rates are still relatively high, often 7 to 15%, but it might dip slightly as the audience grows. Myself, when I hit about 50,000 followers, I started to notice that tech-related videos were outperforming everything else. And that's when I really honed in on that niche, which helped me scale even faster. On a brand's point of view, the advantage of working with micro influencers is that they have niche expertise, they have relatively high engagement, and they are still quite cost effective. Myself, as I found my niche and doubled down on what worked, my follow account just skyrocketed and the engagement rate slightly plateaued, but it was just normalized, quote unquote. And then you go to the next step, which is more so macro influencers. This is 100K to 1 million followers. At this point, you're more established. You're likely recognized in the niche or maybe multiple niches. Your engagement rate typically ranges from 5 to 10% at this stage, and the audience becomes more widespread. Generally, the content style, though, becomes more consistent, and you're known to do one thing, or you kind of blew up for doing something specific. Myself, at about 300,000 followers, I became the guy known as the guy that reviewed websites and app. People started to refer to my content style, and I noticed that many brands also started to reach out to me at this point. For brands looking to work with macro influencers, the advantage is that these individuals have a much larger reach. You can push out your message to hundreds of thousands of people. And generally, because the influencer blew up, they know how to make really good content. It's polished and they have something that they already know works for them. The audience's trust is still relatively strong, although it tends to be less intimate than with a nano or a micro influencers. And last but not least, you then have what we call mega influencers. So this is anyone who has above 1 million followers. These people have extremely high reach and visibility. The engagement rate, although, tends to drop to 2 to 5% and even lower due to just the sheer size and the diversity of their audience. Often, these are individuals that are recognized beyond just their original platform, and they might be known on mainstream media or other social media platforms. When I hit about 3 million followers, I got known as the underrated website guy, and my engagement rate plateaued at about 4%. It's much harder to maintain a high engagement rate because the reach is just massive. For brands, mega influencers can drive huge exposure and massive awareness in a very short amount of time. It's more once you have proven that influencer marketing does well for you and you want to have social proof through association. So there's pros and cons to everything here. But I think what's interesting is that through this story, you can tell that the more people you have, the less personal each interaction becomes. And so the bigger you get, the more people feel like they're part of a crowd, not an inner circle. And further, the second interesting aspect of growing as an influencer is that over time, your content becomes more niche as you establish your brand, what people like, what resonates with them, and you just narrow down into one format. Each tier has its benefits and its challenges. Higher follow counts means bigger reach, but oftentimes lower engagement rates, and smaller followings just means more loyal fans. That's the description of what an influencer is, and kind of understanding when we talk about nano versus micro, etc. What are the pros and cons? But I'd love to, put the ball in your court now and kind of define as well what we mean when we say affiliates.
Yeah, I think the breakdown that you gave in regards to nano, micro, macro, mega is super important. It's a pretty seamless segue into speaking about affiliates because a nano, micro, macro, or mega influencer can also be an affiliate. However, an affiliate does not need to be an influencer. Just because you are an affiliate creator does not mean you are an influencer creator. An affiliate is simply a creator. This person can have 10,000 followers or 0 followers or 10 million followers that promotes a brand's products or services and earns a commission for driving sales to that product or service. That is the high level universal definition, if you will. If we were to specify this towards TikTok, and notably TikTok Shop, This is somebody posting videos, gets a commission for when your brand generates a sale from that person's video. Now, traditionally speaking, if you were a brand trying to crack affiliate marketing, you would need to set up a very complicated web of UTM links, pixels, et cetera, to properly measure conversions. However, with TikTok Shop, brands are able to seamlessly track any creators that are posting about them, and creators are able to earn commission directly from their videos on the platform and their live streams, which is an entire world in and of itself. Now, affiliates can also tag your products directly in their content, and as a brand, you are able to track any affiliate performance through the TikTok Shop Seller Center. It is a game changer. It's a tool that actually me and you were taken away from, or were blown away by when we first saw it. And I remember when we first saw it in London, we were speaking about affiliates and influencers, I don't know how many years ago. And this was in the UK before this instrument was available in the US. And in 5 seconds, a founder that we're friends with pulled out a TikTok Shop Seller Center, rendering 2 million a year in GMV. And in 5 seconds, he was able to tell which were his best performing affiliate videos, which talents were the best performers, which products were the best sellers, which if you've ever tried this type of marketing before, that is huge. Now, there are different types of affiliate programs and different ways of compensating these creators. First and foremost, it's perhaps the most popular way of compensating talents, a uniform percentage of sales. Meaning, if you have a $50 product and you're offering a 10% commission for any sales generated by an affiliate, that affiliate simply gets 10%. There's nothing else to it. Now, the second most popular, let's say, structure, and it's a structure that we see catching a lot of heat, is having a tiered commission structure in place. This adds a gamified element to any affiliate program. It also adds more sugar to the coffee, if you will, or it sweetens the pot in a very effective way. What we mean by a tiered commission structure is, let's say for the first 1 to 50 sales that an affiliate gets you, you compensate them with 10% commission. If they get anywhere from 50 to 100 sales, they then unlock a 15% commission rate. Then, if they reach above 100 plus sales, they earn a 20% commission. These brackets are not universal. They are not concrete. You know your unit economics. You know what you can do. However, typically speaking, we will see a 10, 15, 20 or a 15, 20, 25. The more you can give healthily, the more you can reap. There's really no downside in giving more to these talents if you're really trying to make affiliate marketing work for you. But with this base compensation structure, we are seeing brands get really creative with adding even more perks or even more rewards to their affiliate program. And this is making a huge difference. First and foremost, access to exclusive products and early access to new products. This is a pillar that we're seeing notably beauty brands and apparel brands leverage. This has already been a practice that a lot of tech companies and gaming companies have leveraged for years. If you're in the tech space, then you'll know that Asus, as an example, will send over laptops to tech creators 8 months before they're even released. And we're starting to see the same sort of activities trickle down with more D2C brands. This adds a layer that I'd say nurtures loyalty and adds a degree of prestige if you're able to do this. The other pillar of adding more spice to an affiliate program is having a tiered reward structure based on GMV. What this means is you are offering a base of commission. With that being said, as your affiliates bring you in more sales, you are also rewarding them with different gifts and different prizes. I'd say the poster example of this for TikTok at the moment is Goli, the supplements brand, with a very healthy compensation structure on commission, which I can't be quoted here, which I believe is 25% base commission.
Yep.
As their affiliates earn or contribute to more and more GMV, they unlock new prizes for themselves. I believe the ultimate stage being if an affiliate generates $2 million in GMV, they have access to a condo in Miami, as an example. Now, this is a very extreme example, but if we were to dial this down and perhaps make it a bit more relatable for a lot of the teams watching this, if an affiliate were to generate $5,000 worth of sales buying tickets to a concert or getting them something that is relatable for your target audience, this brings in huge rewards. And again, in relative terms, it costs the brand nothing if the affiliates are actually performing. And I think that's a very important point to note. We see a lot of teams, I don't want to say shy away, but a lot of teams scoff at the cost of doing some of these things without remembering that before even having to do this or being in a place where they can do this, a lot has been given to them. A lot has been generated for them from these affiliates. Now, I would say I'm excited to talk a lot about this. I don't want to say new, but this diversified way of leveraging creators, because I find that affiliates are a lot like ads in the sense that they are a very aggressive amplifier and they're a very cost-effective way to amplify something that's working. At the same time, they need to be amplifying something that's working. If you do not have proven traction for your product, or you do not have a solid foundation that tells you that affiliates make sense, you can be at zero for a very, very long time, which, as we talked about earlier, is the reason why influencers are still and continue to be very, very important in this mix. Affiliates should not be considered as an alternative to influencers. Neither should influencers be considered as an alternative to affiliates. They're two instruments that work together with their pros and cons, which, each have their own.
Totally. And that's what we're going to break down. I think we'll play a little bit of a ping pong where I'll stick to influencers, the pros, the cons, what to look for, while you'll elaborate on affiliate marketing. I think doing it that way is quite interesting because I have experience firsthand as being the influencers, but also managing some of the biggest influencer campaigns on behalf of brands. And so when we look at the pros, there are really many. I think one of the most important one is just having influencers who have the ability to do authentic brand storytelling. Because if they really have the pain point that a product solves, they are often able to speak to that product in a much more natural and trustworthy way. Unlike a scripted ad with hired actors, an influencer authenticity can resonate more deeply with their community. I actually remember one brand that gave me just a list of bullet points about the product. I actually remember one brand that simply gave me bullet points about what problem their product solved. And I created a whole comedic skit that addressed the same pain points that my followers often joked about. And the engagement for it was through the roof. I remember I had over 100,000 likes, and I think it made just about 1.5 million views. Another aspect of influencer marketing is immediate social proof. When a recognized influencer endorses a product, their fans see it as an endorsement from somebody that they trust. So this is an instant boost in credibility. For instance, if Kylie Jenner or a prominent TikTok star is raving about your product, that recognition elevates your brand overnight, legitimizing it to a large audience, right? And this goes beyond just vanity metrics. The social proof can help to accelerate sales, build brand authority, and open doors to future collaborations. I know that many of the brand deals that I've done, I am now listed on their website as seen on TikTok, and then there's my face next to it. So social proof is a big aspect. Another one is the creative content generation, because influencers know how to make original content that resonates with the target audience intimately. Influencers know how to make that audience laugh, what they care about, and what format hooks them, right? And I think a lot of brands can benefit from a fresh perspective, content that is platform native and will resonate more than traditional ads. For the brands that we have worked with, particularly when it comes to fashion or jewelry or high-end product. We've worked with many companies that had a very buttoned up brand image, and we suggested to do street interviews or just outfit of the day types of videos, which originally we saw some resistance from the brand. But as we were able to convince them, we actually saw the benefit of doing that, and it far outperformed the typical high production / polished ad. Another point is having direct access to an engaged and targeted audience. So when you work with an influencer, it comes with a built-in audience that often, or should at least, align with your ideal customer persona. Whether this is through location, age group, or shared interest, ideally all of them. But why this matters is because targeted marketing means higher conversion rates and less wasted ad spend. In my case, because my audience is very tech and entrepreneurial savvy, if I have a B2B SaaS come to me for small business owners, they know that my followers are exactly who they need to reach.
It's interesting because, again, a lot of these pros mesh into affiliates. At the same time, there are a few pros on the affiliate side that add on to the pros of influencers, which is, again, ties to the point of both should be leveraged in a hybrid way, ideally, and they both have their own time and place. With affiliates, first and foremost, it's a pay for results or performance based pricing. Unlike influencer sponsorships or ads with fixed costs, you only pay affiliates when they generate a sale. And this is great if you're a startup or you have a tighter budget and you cannot afford the 10 million follower influencer, or you can't just throw money at an ad account. And so this mitigates a lot of risk up front. It also generates a lot of leverage if you're able to go viral with affiliates, because you have perhaps the most cost-effective way of generating traffic and generating conversions, which creates a base of leverage for you when you do get into ads and you do engage with established influencers. Now, we touched on Goalie a bit, but just angling a bit on Goalie again, with them, they were not a company in a negligible phase of growth. They were already a very established supplements company with a very robust base in retailers. But because this was so cost effective, this effectively amplified the amount of influence and reach that they were able to gain on top of the ad budgets that they have available to them. And it worked in the long run because they were able to go viral and save a lot of their powder for ads or for these higher tier influencers, if you will.
Yeah.
One differentiator, though, in regards to pros, notably with TikTok Shop affiliates, is the measurable ROI. With TikTok Shop analytics, brands can track conversions down to the exact video or creator, which on the influencer side is perhaps just one of those evergreen problems or situations where a brand believes that they're getting a return or they know they're getting a return, but it's almost a very educated inference rather than a concrete fact on a dashboard or figure on a dashboard. With this, you gain a lot of conversion clarity. And at the end of the day, all of this clarity contributes to more concrete decision making. And so an action that you can commit from this is boosting affiliate videos that are going viral with Spark ads, with the knowledge, with the fact that it's already generating you sales without you necessarily needing to pay for them. Whenever I think about this, I think a lot about my experience when I first started media buying on TikTok. I remember one particular brand where the team traditionally would work with influencers on Instagram, and just for one reason or another, they had a very limited amount of budget. And their ads performance wasn't the best, but they were also trying to work with influencers at the same time, which effectively strained their budget completely. They then decided to try set up an affiliate program. And overnight, they started seeing an actual measurable ROI from the content that they were putting out. And because they were able to see this measurable ROI, they were able to take the decision to not focus on influencers, but actually drive more money on ads behind these affiliate videos, which was a decision that they weren't even considering because they just didn't have the data in front of them. And this segues into scalability. Because we do not have any upfront costs, we are able to effectively eliminate any risk of a cap on how many affiliates can promote the brand, which effectively allows us to scale to hundreds, if not thousands of creators quickly. Now, with TikTok Shop, creators can also self-apply to promote your brand's products without needing one-on-one negotiations, which is another bottleneck that traditionally a lot of brands would go through, where you would speak with the talent, you'd have to negotiate with the talent, which entails a huge time drag. And then when you have to multiply those negotiations, this slowdown just multiplies. Whereas now it's one deal, it's one structure. You're targeting the talents that you want. And if you know you have validation that your structure converts and it's attractive, then there's your scale. Now, with this, if you've succeeded at attracting, let's say, hundreds of talents, on the flip side, if you know you have a content brief that goes viral consistently, well, now you have hundreds of talents who have instructions that have a high likelihood of going viral, which is huge. The amount of leverage that you get by that it's almost very hard to visualize. A very recent case study, which I actually heard through Nathan Chen from Founder, was about a brand called Comfort. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them at all.
Yeah, very.
Yeah, so they effectively went viral with establishing a very robust TikTok Shop affiliate program with thousands of creators who became brand ambassadors. At this point, they are generating over 100 million a year, TikTok Shop being a huge driver in that. And they have over 4,000 ambassadors at this moment. And when we think of this, if we were to take that figure of 4,000 ambassadors, the average TikTok affiliate properly onboarded posts 7 to 9 times. And so I don't have a calculator with me, but if we just do the math, that is, it's not extreme, but that is a lot of power that you bring into your circle of influence. And for context, for smaller teams watching this, when I was a media buyer and I jumped onto TikTok ads, I was effectively forced to become the creator, the video editor, the social media manager, and then the actual media buyer on that account. I remember I was filming videos on a weekly basis. Sundays were my shooting day. Mondays were my editing day. And then I'd finally have videos to post by Thursday. And at my max, my cap was about 30 to 40 new videos a week.
Wow.
Which already is...
That's a lot.
It's bonkers for one person. But you cannot compete with a team that is able to effectively generate hundreds of videos a day, exerting less effort as well. It's Alex Hormozi has an amazing story about this, where imagine a Civil War cannon. You can have the best cannon in the world, but if you want to scale, eventually you need to figure out how to add on more barrels. You can't just optimize one barrel, if you will. Affiliates being a huge mechanism in doing that. Now, a misconception that a lot of people have about affiliates is that for some reason, there's this association with affiliates that they are a short-term partnership, or that you will only get a very limited amount of content from affiliates because they're not being paid upfront. This couldn't be further from the truth. As a matter of fact, some of the most loyal brand ambassadors have started as affiliates, if not most of them. And that's for a multitude of reasons. To become an affiliate means that you need to have been attracted by the company and by the offer before seeing any cash enter your bank account or any compensation. And with that, if you're a high performing affiliate, a huge thing or a program that a lot of brands can roll out that generates a lot of LTV and can bring in a lot of new customers in a very sustainable way is figuring out how to turn your affiliates into long-term brand ambassadors. That suits you because if you're able to get, let's say, 100 videos from an affiliate versus trying to get one video out of 100 affiliates, well, guess what? You're going to be able to see better results with that one talent who's sold on the company, is happy with you guys, and is ready to advocate for any product launch versus the amount of energy that you're taking just to start new relationships and try shake new hands. With this, you can actually segue to working with higher tier influencers if they know you have a lot of long-term brand ambassadors, because a lot of trust and your reputation in the creator community and the influencer community will rise. And that's a power, or that's a tool that is very important to have if you're trying to build something sustainable, especially with TikTok, because it's a very young platform. However, it's been around long enough where we're already seeing brands who are doing affiliate programs properly have a robust pool of long-term brand ambassadors. One brand that comes to mind is Glow Recipe, a clean/K beauty brand. And I remember listening to their head of e-commerce at Ecom World in 2022. And already they had one of the most robust influencer and affiliate programs on TikTok. And this is a company clearing more than 200 million a year. TikTok having been a very major part of that, notably TikTok Shop these past 2 years, to the point where through their long-term brand ambassadors, they have been able to launch TikTok Shop exclusive products. Huge. And again, that's just on the short amount of time that TikTok has been around. And so I can only imagine in 2 years, 3 years time, how more and more brands mature on the platform and enter this phase of ascension, if you will. Another benefit or pro to affiliates is the multi-platform reach that you can have. In this day and age, majority of affiliates are posting on Instagram, YouTube Shorts, Pinterest, on a multitude of different video-based channels. And so your first lever that packs the most punch is TikTok Shop. There is no question to that. No question to that. However, if that affiliate is seeing results from TikTok Shop, it is in their best interest to also post on Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts and any other channels that you have an established community on. Gymshark is really great at this, where any affiliate that they have in their pipeline, that they're posting on 4 different channels, and that they are most likely going viral on 4 different channels. And that is, again, we've never been in a time and place where any affiliates and influencers posting for you can effectively quadruple your reach with one button, which is insane. And if you pair that with an offer that's converting, there's no reason why you don't see monetary success or you don't see an uptick in sales from this increased reach. And then last but not least, the ability to have a direct sales focus. Because this is a model that has a very clear ROI or has very measurable ROI, because it's a model that you're able to scale really quickly, because it's a model that is very cost effective, you are able to cut your learning curve very quickly and focus more so on conversion versus just top of funnel reach. There's a huge wave of, I'd say, different tools that are allowing you to focus on sales faster. Social commerce is by far the most effective or most powerful tool emerging for this. And when I say emerging in newer markets, because it's something that has been around for quite a long time, but it's only now coming into the light. With the most developed channel for this being TikTok Shop. And we're already seeing high purchase intent, regardless of the industry that you're operating in. One campaign that shows this is the TikTok Made Me Buy It series that Amazon has pushed since the inception of the channel. which to this date is perhaps one of the most successful affiliate programs ever from a content series standpoint.
Yeah.
And so that's the pros. So right now, I think we've painted a picture where rainbows are flying everywhere if you just jump on influencers and affiliates. But I think me and you have battle scars that show that that's not the case. There, like everything, there are challenges and there are cons that entail all of the positives.
Of course, because every brand has limitations in resources. And obviously, if we had infinite money, we would do everything. But because that is not the case, we cannot have to weight all of the odds and pick what is most likely to work for us. So when we look at influencer marketing, there are costs, unlike affiliate marketing, that needs to be considered. Because when you work with mega influencers, it can get very expensive, thousands of dollars a video, if not tens of thousands of videos. When I blew up through my underrated website series and hit 3 million followers, I had hundreds of brands coming to me inbound, asking for reviews and asking me to talk about them. And many of them were surprised when I quoted my rates because they assumed, oh, this is just a 15-second video. It's not going to be that expensive. But the reach and the impact that the series has disproportional value. So while there are all of the parts that we talked about with influencer marketing, costs is one thing to consider. You also tend to have more limited control over the content generated. There's actually a study that shows that 73% of influencers prefer to retain creative control, and that this is one of their top priority when collaborating with brands. You don't want brands to always dictate creative direction, because otherwise it is not necessarily going to fit into the style or authenticity of the creator. And you don't want to have conflict of interests between the influencer and the brand. I once had a brand that insisted that I highlight their website positively and not give any critics on my underrated website series. And I told them that no, this needs to be an authentic review. And so I'm also going to point out the flaws. And ultimately, we had a lot of back and forth with this, but we came to a compromise. And I think this is one of the reasons why there's also longevity in the influencer business. If you do it right, you want to make sure that you show both sides of the story, right? So yeah, you have a little less creative control, and it matters because too much brand interference can make influencers too much brand interference can make influencer content feel more forced or inauthentic, which hurts both the influencer's reputation, but also the campaign results. When you work with an influencer, you also have a short content lifespan. So the engagement of a video is very much front-loaded, with most views and likes and comments occurring within the first 48 to 72 hours after going live. On a platform like TikTok, it's known that you have quick bursts of visibility with more than 80% of your total engagement happening within the first 2 days. I mean, I see this on my account all the time. When I review a website, within the first 48 hours, I'm going to see a huge spike in engagement. And then by day 3 or 4, everything is plateauing. So when you're a brand, you want to acknowledge that you're going to see a quick spike in interests or sales, but you need to plan for what happens after the initial wave, because if you don't have a long-term strategy, the impact of that influencer can quickly fizzle out. And the last point I want to address here is authenticity concerns. Some influencers take on way too many brand deals, which dilutes the channel's authenticity. And viewers can sense this, and it erodes the trust. Actually, another study I found shows that 86% of consumers say authenticity is a key factor in deciding which brands they support. 57% think that less than half of a dozen brands create actual authentic content. So there's this big trust disparity. And if you are going to work with an influencer that has an endless string of paid ads, engagement and trust just plummets. This means fewer conversions for your brand and a damaged reputation for the influencer. So you want to consider how many paid ads or how many shout outs the influencer has done in the past week or so. I've actually been approached by brands who wanted me to shout them out 4 to 5 times a month throughout my series. And I told them that no, because my audience would notice that I'm constantly shilling them. And so we had to spread things out more while, I had some paid promos, some real content to kind of keep the credibility of my influence up.
Yeah. Yeah. And those are really important points that you bring up. And I think a lot of them are overlooked for one reason or another. Maybe it's just, again, not a lot of experience as much as you have with these different points. What would you say is the one challenge or misconception that rises above all of the others, where it's if these companies just avoided this one con with influencers, their life would be 100% easier if there was one to avoid?
It's definitely the last point I mentioned, which is how often is the influencer pushing somebody else's product? Because there's only so many times you can do that before the effectiveness of it goes down.
Yeah.
And this is why we're going to talk about this later, but we recommend a mix of working with micro to mega influencers because micro influencers have less brand deals, and so they still have this tight bond with the audience, whereas mega influencers will have capitalized on some of these cash grabs. When we manage influencer campaigns, this is one of the components we spend the most time on. Who have they promoted in the past? What was the engagement rate, and what was the how long ago was that, pretty much?
Yeah, it's interesting because you can, as the consumer, and in this particular case, when I say consumer, it's either the follower of a creator or the follower of an influencer, or the follower of any thought leader in any particular corner. The consumer knows when they're being shilled. Even if they can't put their finger on it, at a subconscious level, something is going to ring in them that tells them, okay, this person is repeating the same offer way too many times, or this person is speaking about a particular product more than he needs to. What's going on here? And when we speak of trust, go ahead.
No, it's also on an influencer point of view. I find that everyone underestimates how smart the audience is. And I actually think that if you address your audience like they are smart and they kind of know what you're trying to do behind the scenes, you get to, keep them engaged and so on. The viewers are definitely getting smarter and they're already smart. So don't think that they can't see through the paid promo that you just did.
Yeah. Stephen Bartlett said something very interesting in a recent episode that I listened from him, which was the most authentic brands and the most authentic creators, they've simply gotten to the point where they're very comfortable leaning on being themselves online.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that quote a lot because when we think about our most successful clients, our most successful partners, everyone speaks about Duolingo and how genius and how authentic they are. And at the end of the day, they're just speaking to their target audience, being themselves. This isn't 10 clones of Albert Einstein in a science lab concocting every single meme video one by one. It's just they know who they are. They know what their audience resonates with because they are their audience and they just communicate that. Very hands open versus fists clenched, which we see it day in, day out. When we start going viral with the brand, they realize, oh, I don't need to be an angel, or I don't need to adhere to what other people think is cool. We can be ourselves. That's interesting. But tied to that point about authenticity, that ties very close to, and this is the number one con or misconception or challenge when it comes to affiliates. And it's so close to ads. And it is, you more likely than not, will have a longer time to see results or have a delayed ramp up with affiliates on day zero. You may. Reason being, this is not a quick win strategy. When you turn on affiliate marketing, you will not make 100 million overnight, or maybe you will. But the likelihood that that happens is very low. It takes time to recruit affiliates. It takes time to build relationships, and it takes time to let content circulate on platforms like TikTok. And again, when we say delayed ramp up, we do not mean months, we do not mean years, but it is not an overnight thing. And I think this is a very important point to touch on, in the sense that because affiliates are a mechanism that it's an amplification mechanism. It isn't a mechanism that will validate something. You need to have at least a base of your target audience wants your product, and you have an affiliate offer that's actually attracting talents to you, which again, cue influencers. With affiliates, it's just if you're able to get started, or if you want to get started, do not treat this as a get rich quick scheme. It is not. Every person that sees this as a get rich quick scheme fails. There's also the aspect of the learning curve of the creator. If you are a brand that is selling, let's say, custom medical grade skincare with very complicated ingredients, it's going to take more time to educate your affiliates on these different ingredients and these different processes around your product versus a ring, as an example, or a Whoop as another example. And so I'd be very wary of that, of these different aspects when you start launching affiliates. With this, you can risk less emotional connection if you don't execute on this properly. Some affiliates promote purely for commissions, which ties to your point about authenticity, leading to inauthentic content. And this, I'd say, is another one of the main challenges that brands have as they scale their affiliate program, and as they have an attractive offer for affiliates. Because your offer is attractive, your target audience wants to work with you, but there are going to be people who are not within your target audience who also want to work with you and are perhaps starting to post about you for the wrong reasons. Be very wary of that, because we've seen a lot of brands add too much milk to their coffee, if you will, with these transactional promotions, which can lead to trust issues. If your viewers sense that there's a product that's being shoved down their throat, they're going to lose a lot of trust in the brand and a lot of trust in those creators, which can lead to a lot of low brand advocacy, which is very dangerous. You also risk diluting your brand very quickly. Now, from an operational standpoint, a con that we've mitigated and that we've gone into affiliate programs and that we've cleaned up, notably with TikTok Shop, is commission management. Traditionally, with affiliate programs, there historically has been a risk with either having delayed payments or forgetting about payments, or every mishap from an operational standpoint for a brand in between. With instruments like TikTok Shop, we've been able to mitigate a lot of this, but this is a con when you start working with affiliates. As you scale up the amount of talents you have, there is a lot of back end to manage, and this just increases as you scale. And then last but not least, which is perhaps one of the reasons why you should always be testing new creative briefs and new creative angles and new products, competition. As you're scaling an affiliate program, and as more and more people in the market see that you have something that's working, see that you have products that are selling and a brand that is growing, there are going to be more teams trying to copy your affiliate offer. There are going to be more teams trying to steal your affiliates and compete with you for those talents. And there will be more and more teams simply trying to copy your product and your brand right off the bat. This is a con in the sense that you're growing very fast. Now you have to make sure that you are not ignorant to this risk, which I must say, there are the amount of brands who believe by going viral once, this is an infinite state, and then have all of their fire, let's say, cool off very quickly is a lot. It's perhaps one of the most common situations that we see happening in this space. Funnily enough, I'm not sure if we're at liberty to say their name. If not, then this is going to be beeped out in the actual episode. But Golden Era, as an example, they're a brand where they came to us in a position where they were being ripped off by people already before even going viral on TikTok on their product. And because of this, with this challenge, TikTok and TikTok affiliates actually helped them differentiate themselves. However, this is a situation where if they were going viral and they had not differentiated themselves, they would have been in a position where competitors are beating them on price. We've gone over cons, we've gone over pros. How do we go about with each of these strategies now? Now we're going to get to the gold. How do we make money with this?
Yeah, so I think first and foremost, we have to acknowledge that this is not a one size fits all, and different strategies work best based on certain stages of your brand's growth and depending on your product type and campaign, right? So we're going to explain that and, what can deliver the maximum return on investment. So first and foremost, the business models that generally, in our experience, benefit the most from influencer marketing or affiliates are D2C brands, because they rely heavily on direct online sales, and influencer marketing can drive immediate conversions. Gymshark is a perfect example. They soared to $1 billion valuation, partly through their fitness influencers on social platforms. Second type is lifestyle and consumer goods. It's easy to showcase visually, and so influencer recommendations feel personal. Colourpop, for instance, uses short, engaging product swatches and makeup tutorials via influencers. Also, tech startup and apps do extremely well because it's perfect for quick demo videos that highlights app interface or unique website features. This is what I've succeeded with, and this is kind of like the content that I make as an influencer. There are so many productivity or finance apps that have used influencers to show real life usage scenarios. Now, what are the instances where it makes the most sense based on your stage of business? Generally, it's really good if you're trying to have a go-to-market strategy and you want to put out an MVP, a minimum variable product, to see how well the market receives the product and whether or not it resonates. And this can help you refine your go-to-market strategy, right? The second one is for any sort of product that has visual demonstration. Inherently, social media now is driven by video-first formats. So products that are visually engaging, think fashion, beauty, gadgets, websites, apps, etc., do exceptionally well. There are brands that can capitalize on trend-based marketing. So social media, a big portion of social media is trends, whether it's a viral sound, a challenge, or a hashtag. Brands that can align with these trends can have exponential reach. Actually, over 35% of TikTok users have participated in at least one hashtag challenge, often leading to millions of views within days. Myself, a lot of my original viral videos was when I was able to catch a trend early, and as the trend became more and more global, my videos were naturally pushed because I was able to kind of catch the wave at the right time and then just ride it for like the next couple weeks or so. So trends are huge, and jumping on trends can skyrocket a brand's visibility in a short period, sometimes leading to long-term follower growth if the content resonates.
Yeah.
And then obviously there are some budget consideration based on if you already have worked with a bunch of influencers and you have a bunch of winning storytellings or scenarios that work, then you can allocate budget perhaps to more so macro influencers. But if you're just getting started and trying to validate your go-to-market strategy, your product, the pain points that it resolves, if you want to get reviews and things of that nature, you tend to want to lean on micro influencers as it allows you to have more arrows to throw.
I really like the emphasis on go-to-market strategy, because plugging into that, when we look at TikTok affiliates, we see affiliates as a great mechanism to be used for long-term conversions, having an evergreen sales mechanism that you can lean on, and effectively UGC slash creative at scale. You're effectively able to establish a crazy amount of content that is focused on generating sales and is able to be tested with ads. Again, once you have determined that your product has a good market fit, that it aligns from an offer and an audience standpoint. Now, on my end here, I'm going to go over a few different types of products and scenarios that entail affiliates after, again, you assuming you have product market fit and you're able to work with influencers slash ads. I'd say first and foremost, and it goes without saying much, but products with a proven track record on other channels. Why? Affiliates excel at selling products with proven demand, making them ideal to push your brand's best sellers. And if you have a bestseller that you already is very flammable, you're effectively putting this product that is flammable in a lot more eyeballs, if you will. Product types like this can include reviews, tutorials, and restock with me videos. A great example of this, and me and Josh Snow and I were talking about this. This was, I think, midway through Q4, but we were talking about Snow Whitening's TikTok account and what they've been doing so far on the app. And they've done an amazing job pushing their hero products. And I mean, at this point, their entire hero collection, because all of their products are, I guess, can be considered almost their own hero products in their own sub corners, if you will. They've done a good job at building an amazing amount of sales volume by putting products that they know are selling already in a lot of different places in TikTok affiliates' hands for TikTok Shop. So you have their teeth whitening kits, you have their teeth whitening serums, you have their toothbrush now that also goes viral on its own, and they're offering generous commissions. And so it's a classic example of product with a huge track record gaining even more traction with affiliates. Now, the second aspect, if you will, or the second use case would be building a sales engine with UGC that effectively moves on its own. A long-term sales strategy, if you will. Why? Affiliates are able to drive consistent evergreen sales beyond viral spikes. Whereas an influencer can go viral with 5 million views and push a huge drive in traffic and sales. When that spark of that video ends, it's done. However, if you have affiliates that are continuously posting about you with content briefs that you know gain traction, that you know make money, you have this light that never switches off. Now, a few more content types that can work with affiliates include comparison videos, customer journeys, problem-solving videos. So think of things such as, this is why I switched to XYZ from your competitor's name. A great example of this would be Comfort, where I believe before pushing any ads or influencers, they went straight into TikTok Shop's affiliate program just to build out this instrument. And it's now their mechanism before adding in any other pillars to their channel. They have this car that never stops for gas, if you will. Creators posting consistently. And again, 4,000 brand ambassadors already established, with new ambassadors continuously being enrolled in their program. This is something that is driving on autopilot effectively. The third use case that I'd want to go over for affiliates, and this is a use case that a lot of brands, a lot of marketing teams at brands have questions around, which is technical or high consideration products. If you have a product or a product suite that requires a bit more consideration, whether it's a bit more premium, whether it's a bit more specialized, whether it's addressing a problem that's more sensitive, by establishing an affiliate program, you're able to effectively produce more touch points for that lead to warm up quicker. Because if I have 200 videos about me being posted, educating my target audience per day on why my solution actually solves a certain problem, those are all touch points for my target audience to watch. And so great examples of these in terms of products can be red lights, products that are solving health issues, products that will interact with your pet or interact with your home. Funnily enough, the Dyson Airwrap achieved long-term TikTok virality through their UGC affiliates. And that's a great example where when you buy something for your home, or you buy something that you're going to consume, or that's going to either solve a medical issue or an acne issue or whatever, you just naturally need to see more content to eliminate more gray areas in your journey with the brand before the first purchase. And so technical or high consideration products, get on affiliates.
Yeah.
Those are the three use cases that I have, because you hit the nail on the head with the types of industries. And yeah, everything else is effectively overlap with influencers. But
for sure,
it's effectively amplify anything that works with influencers at the end of the day.
Yeah. No, and then I guess the next point we want to touch on is, what are the KPIs? How do we track performance? What's good? What's bad? And I'm going to touch here on, because it's very similar for influencers and affiliates. I'm going to do the 2-in-1, and we want to look at this as a funnel, right? So we'll start top of the funnel and go all the way down. One of the first KPIs that you're going to track is impressions and engagement rate. So on TikTok, the average engagement per view is 3.4%, which is much stronger than Instagram's 0.7% per follower. That said, top performing campaigns exceed more than 5% engagement per video, with influencers typically having a higher engagement rate than affiliate content because they're more established and they have a better connection with their audience. When I was a nano influencer, my engagement rate was ridiculously high. And as I grew, I noticed that brand-sponsored content often had slightly lower engagement than my personal content because people knew I was getting paid, right? So higher engagement rate means higher chances of conversion. If engagement rate is below 2%, you might want to be changing your content because it's just not resonating. Beyond the engagement rate, another KPI that is tied to that is retention. And this applies to both affiliates and regular influencer marketing. Retention rate is another super important metric, as it's a direct indication of how effective the story that you're saying on video is performing, right? Your average watch time on a video is 3.3 seconds, but you want to aim for 15 to 20 seconds on a 30-ish second video. With high performing videos, or viral videos, I should say, having a 50% plus completion rate. So that's 1 in 2 people watch the video till the end. If that happens, you're going to go viral. Super important, because the longer people watch, the more engaged they are, and as a consequence, the higher likelihood of them purchasing. On TikTok Shop, if your video is not getting watched for at least 10 seconds, the odds of the viewer clicking on the shop are much lower. So you definitely want to work with your affiliates and influencers on, making sure that the retention is high, and you do that with good storytelling or, just keeping people hooked. The next step of the funnel is the click-through rate. So the click-through rate measures the percentage of viewers who click on a product link. Now, we're going to make a distinction between organic and paid, because the dynamics are slightly different. But organically, you generally see 1 to 2% per view clicking on the product page. With paid marketing, so running ads, generally hovers about 0.8 to 1%. This is also one of the key differentiator between regular influencer marketing and TikTok Shop affiliates, because on TikTok Shop, people can click and directly go to the in-app shopping cart, which reduces friction and just increases conversions, right? Whereas regular influencer marketing, they would need to click the link in bio, land on an external website, and it's just more steps to get to the same point, right? Many people don't click the link directly. Instead, they search for the product manually. So when you look at the overall traffic being pushed from your videos, you want to consider direct search, Amazon, link clicks, and so on. I've had videos with tens of millions of views where more than 40% of the traffic came from direct search rather than the link in my bio.
Wow.
So yeah, you have to look at it as a blended approach. If your CTR is low, it means that the content is not compelling enough to drive purchase intent.
I was just gonna add there, and that's huge when we speak about the fact that you are not leaving the channel, and it's huge in a lot of different ways. But it's not only the click through rate, because you can have an amazing click through rate, but you mitigate any risk or any potential mistake that can happen once the person gets onto the lander. I'm going to number one, bounce rates when the person gets onto the actual page or technical issues. But any operational challenge that you have, whether it's on the product page, whether it's on the cart page, whether it's on initiate checkout, all of that is mitigated. And there are a lot of horror stories that, as a media buyer, I've seen where now it's impossible if the person's able to just stay on the page or stay on the platform. It's huge.
Yeah, totally. And once they arrive on the page, obviously you have the landing page conversion rate. Ideally, most e-commerce brands will hover around 2 to 3%. With TikTok Shop, it's actually much higher. It goes up. So with TikTok Shop organic videos, it goes to more or less 4 to 5%. But most interestingly, live shopping conversion rates are 10 to 30%. Because it tends to have higher urgency. On live, people will say, this discount is only available for the next 20 minutes or whatsoever. So conversion rates goes through the roof with live shopping. And I think any of these benchmarks are quite surprising compared to other traditional platforms such as Amazon or D2C, where, if you get a 2%, you're lucky.
Yeah, it's so crazy. I think we were both looking at this report today. When we look at conversion rates and we look at engagement rates, funnily enough, granted, your follower, the tier of followers that you'll have impacts the engagement rates and then ultimately the conversion rates you'll have as an influencer. But what we've also noticed, notably for brands, is that the brands with the highest conversion rates on TikTok Shop and the highest engagement rates on their profile are the brands that are posting the most. There's a direct correlation in between posting more and increasing your conversion rate and your engagement rate, which almost sounds counterintuitive. But the more you think of it, the more it makes sense. Because if you're posting more, you're getting more data on how to improve your engagement rate. And if you're getting more traffic to that TikTok Shop, you have a lot more data on why people want to buy you and why people don't want to buy you, which arguably is perhaps more important to get to the conversion. That's huge. 10 to 30% on TikTok Lives is insane. I can't wrap my brain around that. That's wild.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think that's also, again, the big USP of TikTok Shop is that you have 100% attribution of the traffic. And so while in the past, influencer marketing might have been, for at least bigger conglomerates, more so a brand awareness or a reach play, now you can really have strategic measurements and track all of your KPIs to continue to scale confidently and make influencer or affiliate marketing a true revenue driver.
100%. So not to sum this up, but in 30 seconds, in a nutshell, integrating influencer and affiliate programs on TikTok in, let's say, 4 to 5 steps. Step 1, establishing a go-to-market strategy, looking at your budget, looking at how you will get product validation to the right audience as quickly as possible. Generally speaking, this means you set up your TikTok Shop affiliate program. You're not scaling on that yet, but you set it up and you partner with 3 to 5 influencers per your budget and start gaining insights from how people are reacting to your content. Once we have that, and we know that we have influencers working, or we have feedback from our content working, we then start getting into more affiliates. We start running hybrid campaigns with influencers and affiliates, both driving different goals, but both working side by side, leveraging TikTok trends, hosting lives, doubling down on what works for us. Bear in mind, you are posting daily through all of this on your account. As we gain more and more traction, we scale top performers into ambassadors on the affiliate side. We boost viral UGC with Spark ads, and we introduce more and more incentives for more and more people to join the party, whether they're influencers, whether they're affiliates, or they want to be both. Because an influencer with 5 million followers has a lot of firepower to be a very powerful affiliate for you.
Yep.
And then step 5 to 6, retarget TikTok engagers with ads, repurpose UGC across other channels, and continue expanding with new products, new content briefs, new talents. And the cycle goes on and on. That's in 4 to 5 steps. Is there anything that you'd want to add to that?
No, I don't think so. It's really important to understand the theory behind what goes into it. Most brands actually would rather delegate the operations of making that happen, because you're ultimately working with people, and people are variable. Sometimes they don't submit things on time, or they have emotions and all of these things. So this is why agencies like ours offer to help brands scale all of these things, because working with hundreds and hundreds of affiliates simultaneously requires quite a lot of operational bandwidth, and yeah, we're glad that we've been able to crack that on behalf of clients, and this is why there's a good exchange of value for them and us.
Yeah, and that's without talking about posting daily on the account, ads, influencers, and every other operational system around TikTok, which accentuates your point. A lot of the partners that come to us, they will just say, we know what we need to do. It's just too much. We don't have the resources in house. We either don't know how to do it, we don't have the resources in house, or we don't believe we're being as effective as we need to be for our customers. There's I wanted to throw in a case study here. I think the timing of it is great. It involves somebody we both know who went viral for crying. Rare Beauty, Selena Gomez beauty brand. They've ascended, they've rapidly grown into perhaps one of the fastest growing beauty brands on social, notably with social commerce. Now, as of February 2025, they boast over 4.3 million followers on TikTok. They have an engagement rate of 7.6%.
Wow.
For an account with 4 million followers. Average views per post are around 476K. Average views per post. Nuts. Their backbone is not purely, but 99% influencer and affiliate before getting into paid. Now, they have perhaps the privilege of having the base of a macro influencer, Selena Gomez as the founder. With that, and I want to highlight this because a lot of brands would think it's Selena Gomez. You don't need to do anything else after Selena Gomez, which is a very limiting mindset, and it's a false narrative that me and you have seen play out a lot. With Selena Gomez as a macro influencer going into market, they have been able to scale very aggressively with nano, micro, medium, macro, and then mega influencers, along with a very aggressive affiliate strategy. They were part of the 100 most influential brands in the world by Forbes for 2024. They're clearing about $300 million in revenue per year, and are a huge reason why Selena Gomez is actually a billionaire now.
She is?
Yeah, net worth of 1.3 billion.
Wow.
Nuts.
That's insane.
Influencers and affiliates working together properly. Yeah. And so I think that's huge, because in the grand scheme of things, they're not a big brand.
Right.
They are not a L'Oreal or a right? But it's
Yeah.
fundamentals executed very, very well, which we've hit on throughout this. I was shocked reading it this morning. I was looking at it and I was.
Yeah, I had no idea. I had no idea. But I think that's a great way to wrap it up. I mean, there's no better case study to kind of showcase the things that we talked about.
Yeah. But no, episode 8. I think this was a jam. I think this is going to be the longest episode we've done. It's good. Jam packed.
Could be still learning as we're going, but we're making progress, so it's exciting.
Yeah, we're gonna have exciting stuff to talk about in the next few weeks. We have Affiliate World coming up. We're gonna be in London beginning of March for an event with Santander Bank, speaking about some of the topics we spoke today, but also a few other things as well. Checking on partners, checking on team members, making sure they're behaving. And so stay tuned, guys. Keep listening.
All right. Boom.